Oh, hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have a return to the visitor from Curtisville with chapters 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, the visitor from Curtisville, it's by Pratt99. It's on Creepypasta.wiki. Honestly, if this is your first episode, go back an episode.
Absolutely.
At least go back an episode and listen to that one, because this is a continuation. This is a multi-parter this month. So, but yeah, I suppose we'll just dive into the rundown, since we're gonna hold off doing recommendations till the last of the entries, or last of the chapters. So. Starting with chapter 4, which starts with Lolly wandering through Hogan's Bay and getting a bit worried about some mysterious gray-cloaked figure possibly following her, before getting stopped by a constable that tells her to be careful around town, around all the spirits and such. Then we switch back to the beach fire, where Kess and the gang are listening to Ellery continue her story about Locker 490. In the story, the scene kids and a portion of the kids in the classroom already go off to check the locker itself, while Veronica informs Ellery about the origin of the legend of Locker 490. Apparently, a girl in the 1970s was using the locker and went missing, presumably eaten by her locker after experiencing strange noises and smells around the locker and the area. And since then, kids tend to experience weird activity around the locker.
Or give it a wide berth.
Yeah, exactly. Then in chapter 5, the storm outside intensifies and the door swings open to the classroom to reveal a stocky Fanime girl looking for a place to eat her lunch. The wind that comes into the room from the hallway also causes quite a bit of a mess, including tossing around a lot of Ellery's comic strip pages. The Fanime girl explains that there is a commotion upstairs by the locker with emergency services amidst the gawking students. Seems the students of that locker block have caught some kind of illness. Then a teacher comes in to the room and explains that everyone needs to go home, as the storm is getting worse and the school will be closing. Ellery isn't able to find all of her comic pages, but as she meets and walks with one of her friends from an art class, Ryu, the Fanime girl comes running toward her, shouting for her attention, with everyone looking on at her garish anime attire and mannerism. The girl has an envelope with the lost comic pages, and as Ellery thanks her, the girl reveals she is a high elf girl named Lachlan Aelona Haviland, and then glomps Ryu for looking like an anime character she knows. Kess and then we kind of break out of the story and back to the beach, as Kess questions if this person is in fact a lolly, and but there's more to that. But there's more to the story and Fanime bashing yet. Chapter 6, we see...
Let me correct you for a second.
Sure.
You said, question if this character is a lolly. It should be just Lolly, because Lolly is the name. She may also be a lolly, but her name is Lolly.
No, yeah, I meant to say, it's because Lolly... Yeah, okay.
It's confusing, I understand.
Yeah. Kess questions if this person is in fact Lolly, the girl that Ellery once cursed. But there's more to the story, and Fanime bashing yet. Chapter 6 sees the story continue as Lachlan is still glomping Ryu, and it takes intervention from his older brother, Yukiko, a black metal rocker celebrity, who has come to pick up his younger siblings from school, that the Fanime girl is removed. Then we get into a large argument and otaku-fueled temper tantrum between Yukiko and Lachlan before the vice principal steps in to confirm that Lolly is, by all accounts, a normal human girl in an anime-fueled delusion of grandeur. Also, in need of a good bath and possible quarantine as she is covered with lice. As she is taken away, as Lolly is taken away, Ellery's dad arrives to pick her up, and she heads home. It's only later that Ellery discovers that not only did the people from the locker block around Locker 490 suffer appendicitis and were sent to hospital, but also someone in fact died. She knows this because the dead girl told her. Dun dun dun. Finn, till chapter 7.
Yeah, it was actually a good spot to actually end it.
It was,
because you kind of just chose these chapters randomly, right?
Well, no, I chose them because like going by like in terms of page count and like how much, like, as this page this like we said, like I think in the first episode, like this is basically a novella or like a novel sized creepypasta.
Yeah.
So I basically just selected like a number of like three chapters. I think that our last episode is going to be like 2 chapters long.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like 3 chapters long just to try and like space it out so that we'd have like breathing room. But yeah, it actually did kind of work out in our favor.
Yeah, that is a nice like place to put a pin in it right there, like on that cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that is the rundown for The Visitor from Curtisville, chapters 4 to 6. Chapters 4 to 6. So I suppose we should move on to Everyone Tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions. At this point, I've actually got a couple more in this one than I think last time. So starting with chapter 4, we have this thing that the story starts doing in chapter 4 when it switches to different like locations and in the scenes. So the chapter starts off with like town and then in brackets 1, and then like a little bit later we get Moon Agate Beach with bracket 2, and then like even later than that we have Locker 490 in brackets 3. And it's interesting that this chapter actually uses like location titles to separate scenes. I just wish that the rest of the story used these or for consistency.
Absolutely. It helped a lot.
Yeah, because it's only in this chapter.
Yeah.
It's not really meant, it's not used before, and it's not and as far up until at least as far as we've read so far, it's not used after chapter 4. So but it's a really nice like sort of like scene introduction, because like we now know it's basically establishing the location, like, but yeah. But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. She drew you in, and you wanted to catch every word. Even the story she was telling probably involved horror that iced over your spine and shriveled up your God's forsaken soul into cold ashes. So in this one, I think it's you wanted to catch every word, even if the story she was telling probably blah 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 blah. It's just missing the if in there.
Another way that I would correct it is say, even though the story she was probably telling involved horror.
Yeah,
even if the story is how you suggested it, both work. I was just suggesting another one.
Okay. And then the next thing I have, it was divided into 3 different academies, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Academies? And like in the next sentence, she goes on to clarify that 6, 7, and 8 are grades. And I think this needs either to be clarified further, like just say that the school was so big it only had 3 grades.
That's what
it's a middle school. That's what a middle school is.
But it's just like, why did it use academies? Like,
why is there werewolf cop?
I mean, fair, but like this isn't Hogwarts. I mean, this isn't Hogwarts. Like, they don't.
It kind of is.
I mean, it kind of is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed the use of academies was weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, so I just think academies should be grades, not like I don't think academies appropriate use here.
Unless it is in the lore of it, but I don't know.
But then that has to be clarified.
But it kind of does, right?
Not really. It really doesn't clarify it.
I don't know.
It just kind of uses the word for like one sentence, and then it goes back to using grades. So, but I'll get
unless it's like the building is so big that like each grade has its own like separate building that has everything they need for dealing with that grade or something.
Explain that better.
But then it's explained that like grade 6 has the base floor, and then grade 7 and 8 have the top floor.
Yeah. So it's not really like three. It's not three different academies. Like I don't think academies can be used in conjunction as like or in placement of grades, right? Like,
no idea.
It just sounds weird.
I cannot believe I'm looking this up. According to AI, Google AI.
Oh, great.
Academies or grades likely presents a false dichotomy, as academies can refer to a specific type of school, while grades refer to the system of assigning levels of achievement or year groups in the Canadian education system. At least that's in Canada. In Canada, schools are divided into grades, and within high schools, there can be different academic streams, such as or tiers, such as enrichment. Or such as enriched, applied, or academic. Yeah, so I don't think. Hang on. In America. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's the same thing. Like grades are like the level, like the year level, and also like achievement thing. And then academies are just like the types of like a specialized school or historical context or post-secondary training kind of thing. Not they aren't the same as grades, or they don't get used the same way.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just something that just kind of ground my gears a little bit. Is like, why did you use academies here? Like, explain what the difference, like what's going on here, a little bit more cohesively.
Yeah, I'm fine with those words being used. It's just it needs to be explained why they're used instead of just the standard that everyone recognizes right from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll get away from that and move on to my last thing for chapter 4. I suddenly recalled on my few visits to the library how people would always give this one set of lockers wide berth. So this one might just be like a nitpick, but I feel like there should be an A added there. So like this one set of lockers, a wide berth. Not lockers wide berth.
Oh, is that how it is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But that's all I've got for chapter 4. Again, I'm assuming that we all categorized our notes and some of that into the chapters, not all at once.
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah. Mikey, do you have anything for chapter 4 other than a conjunction junction, which we will do at the end of the segment?
Hey, for all you know, he doesn't have one.
That's true.
You can't just assume. Oh, okay.
In this case, you, sir, are in fact the ass.
I see.
For assuming that he might not have. I don't assume. I know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you have? So you don't have anything other than a conjunction junction, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Gamer.
I got one. It's run when they're talking about the locker. Then there were creepy noises that people claimed to have heard coming from the locker, as well as this weird perfumey kind of gross smell. And then what follows is a word that I couldn't decide how to pronounce personally.
Okay.
It's spelt W-U-T with a question mark. Then it follows by saying, I leaned forward. What kind of smell and noise? So I ask you guys, what pronunciation is W-U-T? Because if it's what, W-H-A-T, it should have just been spelt that way. If it was wah, it would be WHA, and it would have been spelled like that. And it can't be Woot because she isn't excited that someone died.
If it was Woot, it would be WOOT.
That as well. So how do you pronounce WUT?
Honestly, I read it how I would have said like what, because that's what I thought. That's what I figured it was. But like, you're right. It's basically like the short form text version of the word what to me.
Yeah.
Told
So,
aloud
but
to
then
a group of people.
But then I was confused as to why it's spelled like WUT in that instance, and then like a second later, I'm reading somebody say what, like using WHAT in a questioning sentence.
Hence my confusion.
Yeah, no,
Well-
you're it's founded.
It's how the character talks.
But she literally just
Emphasis
talked.
on you. In the
Hmm.
I guess.
What? Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, is it like what?
Yeah.
Okay. There should be a little bit more emphasis. I would feel like all caps, exclamation points, like question mark, exclamation point, or something along those lines. But
You know, I kind of buy that though, Mikey.
yeah, I could
I was like thinking about this word. I'm like, how else could you possibly say it? It should just be what? And I was like, okay, fine. What? All right, you win. I'm done. I retire.
you can die happy.
Hmm.
But that's all you got for Grammar Inquisition for chapter 4?
Correct.
On to chapter 5. I don't have anything particularly of note for chapter 5. So, Mikey, these stands for evil.
I'm good.
Gamer.
I got one. This is when like the storm starts happening. I got one. But this is around when the storm happens, and like the teacher comes in to tell them to get the fuck out. As it says, but before her question could be answered, Al Phillips came to the door and announced that we needed to go straight home because of the storm. Any other day, the teacher would have freaked out about the mess in the classroom, but today he just looked at it and didn't really seem to notice it. That's how worried he was. So, since this is a teacher that came in, I felt that right out the gate, it should just say Mr. Phillips. Because, like, also it would clarify that it's an adult immediately, since, like, the last person who just came through the door was a kid. And because this person who came through the door was given their full name, I assumed it's another kid named Al. But next paragraph is clarified.
About a student, like to me personally, like it always seems weird when somebody like addresses a teacher by their like first name, last name, they're always like Mr. Phillips or like never. It's never like oh hey Al, how's it going? Like no, that's like weird. Like maybe that's just like years of the indoctrination within the education system. Like no, like respect, like saying them like Mr. or Mrs. or what have you, like using that honorific, and then the last name is like the sign of respect or something like that. But like maybe that like because it's been ingrained in my brain, like because of like our education system. But like it's just so weird to hear like a teacher like referred to by their first name.
Absolutely. And granted, Ellery could have learned his first name after the fact because she's telling this story after the fact. But I don't know about you, but like when I always think back to my school days, it would just be last names. Exactly. Plus, this is the only teacher. The principal's first name isn't mentioned. It's always Miss whatever.
Yeah.
So why? What's so special about Al?
Yeah. Maybe, or like unless he's one of those like he's one of those teachers that's like, no, don't call me my Mr. Phillips. I want just call me by Al. Like we're all friends here.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's that kind of teacher, but
maybe, but clarify.
Yeah.
Calling him Al instead of Mr. gives him like an opening that should be clarified out the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got for that chapter.
Okay. Then on to chapter 6. This is where like the bulk of my notes, the bulk of my Grammar Inquisition stuff was.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start with this one here. So I know it's dialogue, but what the hell were harassing my bro for? So obviously, I think the second "were" should be removed. So it's like, what the hell were you harassing my bro for? And then my next one here. Your life, Missy, is a homogeneous gray expense. Your life, Missy, is a homogeneous gray expanse of stale Japanese junk food, cheap kawaii merchandise, and lousy cosplay. So again, it's dialogue, but I do think it should be lousy cosplay, not lousy. Like it's LOSEY. And I think it should be LOUSY for like lousy cosplay.
Unless lousy means
Lousy.
something.
Or
Maybe,
Lucy.
Lucy maybe like Lucy
Lose.
cosplay. I don't know.
Lose.
Lucy.
The term Lucy
Loser.
primarily refers to Joseph Lucy, a notable U.S. film director known for works such as The Servant and The Go-Between. No, it's not that.
Even if you're going for like like lose kind of thing, it's like then loser cosplay would also work.
Yeah,
loser
yeah.
would also work as a word.
That could just be a misspelling of loser.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that again, a lot of these are kind of just like this simple mistake, easily fixed kind of thing.
Mhm.
And actually, speaking of my next one, which is also in the dialogue, that girl's a freaking train wreck. Now, again, we are talking about Lachlan / Lolly, who canonically smells and is like really bad with hygiene, as the story continues to point out multiple times.
We have to everyone reading this must know that all weeaboos are disgusting individuals and they need to be purged.
Who know no hygiene whatsoever.
God,
I've got to think of it later on about that.
Yeah, well, she is a train wreck, though.
Yeah. So obviously, I think it should be train wreck.
Well, it's an insult. She's a train wreck.
Yeah. So it could be they meant to have it as train wreck for the smell.
Yeah,
but I do think it's supposed to be train wreck.
I think it should be reek.
All right,
it's way better.
All right, agree to disagree, even though I do agree with you.
Ow, my brain.
I'll move on. Dad gave Yukiko a really baffled look. Excuse me, he said, but did you just say elfin smugglers? Yeah. Yukiko nodded darkly, his face now deathly serious. Should probably be Yukiko in the first iteration here, because Dad gave Yukiko a really baffled look, and then the next time we get Yukiko's name, it's Yukiko with a U, not an O.
Oh wow, I did not even notice that. And
just because the rest of the story refers to him as Yukiko. Also, I noticed something similar to this as well with Ryu's brother Hotaru, which is also spelled occasionally in the story as Hoturu. And originally it was Hoturu as because I think the character didn't know their name. So I kind of gave it a pass initially there, but then I saw Hoturu again when the rest of the story was referring to Ryu's brother as Hotaru. So, which one is it? Is it Hotaru or Hoturu?
I think the first one being screwed up is fine, but the rest should all just be correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you there.
And then my next one here. That's probably that. Oh, right. That okay. That's. I was like, what's wrong here? Oh, there's the wrongness. That's probably explains why I haven't seen any bears around here. So it just needs to remove the S from that's, so that it's that probably explains why. It's even a possessive S on that's
no, it's not.
Or not possessive. No, it's not possessive. It's the abbreviation. It's kind of the short form of that is.
That is probably explains why I haven't.
Yeah, exactly. And then my last one for chapter 6 is as Yukiko as Yukiko comforted the trembling twin, I caught only a few stuttering words, just enough to made my mind focus and listen. And I think that's supposed to be just enough to make my mind focus and listen.
Yeah, they're leaning hard on the past tense.
Yeah. And it doesn't work for the just enough to made my mind focus and listen. It just doesn't work.
No.
But that's all I've got for chapter 6 for Grammar Inquisition. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil.
All right, so I have a couple for chapter 6 here. So my first one here is seemingly obvious to the theft, she continued.
Yeah,
It should be oblivious.
Yes. I remember that one, and I remember I was gonna give it a pass because it could be obvious. even though my heart of hearts, I was like, no, it should be oblivious.
All right. And then my next one is this whole mess should have been dealt with much sooner. So it's just get rid of the of.
Yeah.
Because this whole mess should have been dealt with much sooner.
Yep.
And then my last one is my dad pursued his lips thoughtfully.
Interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I typo-neezed over this one.
Yeah, me too. Should be pursed, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
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 I definitely read it as pursed, not pursued.
Whose lips is he pursuing? I must know now. Who is this dad wanting to kiss?
All right. Anyway, so that's it for Grammar Inquisition. So next is Conjunction Junction.
All right.
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
Chapter 4, Past History. Town 1. Its mane bristled all the way down its spine as the scent awoke a deep primal fear. It's just your imagination playing tricks on you, she told herself firmly. It's not your imagination, and it isn't even your token. Your pocky-eating, art-thieving, soul-leeching weeaboo. But don't worry, they won't hurt you. Moon Agate Beach 2. Locker number 4903. Because the middle school was so large, it was divided into 3 different academies, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It was a famous school legend, about as popular as the legends of Bloody Mary, the tricycling gas mask ghost of Sunset Court, and the skull-headed collie of Sutter Island. Or Sutter Island.
Sutter Road.
Yeah. Sutter
Like,
Road.
Sutter Island. Sorry. I'm following along. So
It was mostly a sprawling backwater, chiefly consisting of trailers, humble shacks, ranches, nurseries, and a wrecking yard. And many a small 7th grader suffered the indignation of getting crammed into one of by the school doofuses. It wasn't until the middle of August that the inexplicable, hideous tragedy of Locker 490 first came into play. It was like someone was standing just a few feet away, staring with huge, unwavering eyes. But even this precaution didn't help. The sensation of being watched persisted, becoming more intense. But even though she desperately needed someone's help, she didn't tell anyone. It's nothing. It would have still gone on being perfectly normal if it hadn't been for that damn locker. But that's impossible. It's probably just your imagination overreacting. Chapter 5: Bad Omens. It was then that a sudden unmistakable stench drifted into her nostrils. It's all right. It was very dark out in the hallway, but I was still able to make out the shape of a person standing in the doorway. And shut the damn door while you're at it. It wasn't until the mysterious guest pulled off the drippy poncho that I got a better look. It's supposed to be cursed. So I asked this one kid about it, and he said that the bunch using those lockers all suddenly came down with some nasty stomach bug. So who has locker 490 then? But before her question could be answered, Al Phillips came to the door and announced that we needed to go straight home because of the storm. But today, he just looked at it and didn't really seem to really notice it. And you? It was still art, but by far not the greatest painting ever. But I was feeling a little better. It seemed to be getting closer. But none of them sound like Minnie Mouse on helium. But I thought you just said her name was Lolly McLaren. But before I could ask her more about herself, Lachlan promptly let out a fangirl squeal that made me and Rio jump. So there you have it. It's no joke, unfortunately. Chapter 6: The Very Special Snowflake. So her good deed of returning that lost artwork of your story was obviously just an excuse to glomp one of the O'Brien brothers. Or was it that all just an illusion done by magic and hypnosis, like the Tanuki's leaf money trick? So what happened next? It's Yukiku of Moog Vagrant. But I'm not a weeaboo. And you are especially not an anime character from glorious Nippon Fantasyland. It's not true. It's not true. It's you who's wrong and messed up. You fucking troll speciest. But he started it. But I'm a changeling. And right before Thanksgiving break, too. It sounds like something straight out of a South Park episode. But it was already too late. It's this older locker upstairs, right across from the library. It seemed like shortly after lunch started, 9 people were suddenly and inexplicably stricken with acute appendicitis. thin.
Wow. That I honestly got nothing. I tried following along and I kind of got lost in the weeds, in the weeaboos, in the weed. Yeah.
At the start of that, I noticed that my mic was going ham, lighting up constantly, like even though I was saying nothing. So I had to like mute myself, and I was messing with that. So I missed a bit on chapter 4. In 5, though, when Lolly shows up, it kind of like, given the context that Mikey gave through reciting only the sentences that start with it's words that they shouldn't start with, like its, ands, or buts, to highlight that there's generally better words to use. It was basically, it made it look like she showed up at the door and then they just closed the door in her face, like she didn't come in.
Or like dramatically opens up, winds like blowing, rain. And one of the students like, I'll get that.
Yeah, and shut the damn door while you're at it. Okay.
it's like, and like the silhouette of the killer is in the doorway, and then like some like the people, like the main character is like freaking out because like just like frozen in fear as they're like staring at the killer, and then meanwhile like the next scene is just like it cuts away to like some like random students like, let me just close this for you.
Yeah. And because there was really nothing that changed the perspective, it seemed like this whole thing was like all the dialogue and stuff was just going through Ellery.
Yeah. Also,
So, like,
I was surprised you like did your ears perk up when you heard this mention about like South Park episode?
hell yeah. It brought back fond memories of Eric Cartman giving Kyle AIDS.
Jesus.
I forget why, honestly, but he did.
Fair.
But yes.
All right, then. Then I guess Gamer, do you have anything for a grammar in yellow for chapter 6?
Yeah, I got one, although rereading it over again, it's technically not wrong. It's just the way I read it, it seemed wrong. I'm going to go over it anyways. The bodyguards soon surrounded them and the phalanx, then moved down the hall, clearing a path. So there's a couple ways that this could be corrected. Simply putting a comma between the them and would fix it. So it would say, the bodyguards soon surrounded them, and the phalanx then moved down the hall. So they're saying that the bodyguards did a phalanx, which is a maneuver where you are creating a blockade or a wall out of people and or shields, and then moving down the hall. But it sounds like the bodyguards surrounded them and also the phalanx, which was something else that the bodyguards surrounded.
Yeah. I had a similar thing actually right near to this sentence, but it was more of like a shot, bang, with a glance. Oh, I'm sorry. Like it was like one of those moments.
Yeah.
Where it's like Yukiko and Ryu noticed it too and emerged from the wall of bodyguards. Oh, okay.
Oh. It's like they were phasing through the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's like they the wall of bodyguards. So like they passed, like they went between like two bodyguards or whatever you. But like
yes,
whenever I remember like when I was reading it, I read that as like as they emerged from the wall, I was like, what? And there's like a bodyguards. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's amazing how that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regarding the phalanx, though, the other way that could be corrected is saying the bodyguards soon surrounded them in a phalanx, then moved down the hall. Then there's no need for commas or anything like that. It's just reading it normally describes what's happening.
True.
And that's all I got for chapter 6.
All right. Then I suppose we'll move on to actual thoughts. So I'm going to start here with chapter 4, past history. Town 1. A herd of 20 licorn glided out of the surrounding forest. Spiral horns and fluffy silvery hides glinting in the moonlight as they clattered across the cobblestone streets. I'm sorry? Where now? I guess this is some kind of memory of some distant time and past, as the chapter name suggests. Kind of odd, given that we were previously hearing about middle school mysteries, but okay. And then a little bit later, Lolly McLaren's stride slowed as she made her way down the main street of Hogan's Bay. In spite of the balmy evening and the bright festive atmosphere, she felt a cold tingle at the back of her neck. Wait, what? Hogan's Bay has cobblestone streets?
Why not?
I you know what?
Why are you so surprised that there's
I-
fantasy in this setting?
I shouldn't.
Like,
I really
the main character's talking. One of them is almost a zombie. One of them is a gorgon, and the other one is a cat girl. And there's a cyber goth there. There's
the cyber goth. I got notes on that guy.
We already talked about the cyber goth last time.
There's new developments.
Okay, and there's also a demon. Like, there's all this fantasy stuff going on, and then as soon as something fancy shows up, you're surprised. I'm shocked.
I was shocked. Like, and also I shouldn't have been. Also, from a mundane standpoint, like, I do know that, like, and I friggin' just went to a small town like on the Ottawa River that had cobblestones in their downtown strip, because it's like a touristy sort of town, like older touristy sort of places tend to have like an older feel to like give that, to kind of emphasize that kind of like touristiness.
Yeah.
And again, yes, and the fact that fey creatures and beings frequent this location, this place, like live here even.
Also, the police look like they're steampunk here.
I'm gonna get to that.
No, I'm saying that also gives credence to like them using older style kind of architecture, and I don't know what you would call that, but
like Victorian era, like, or pre-modern infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I shouldn't have been like phased. I think I was just thrown off because I wasn't like the chapter opened up with like a completely different like setting as far as I thought.
Yes.
and then suddenly, oh no, this is Hogan's Bay. I was like, oh.
Granted, that, like, as you said, the previous entry was all about stuff in Curtisville where it's supposed to just be a mundane, normal town. So I get the shock.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to bring up something that I referenced. I was going to reference later, but I'll bring it up now because it connects more to what we're talking about now. So we get this quote, and this is about the steampunk guy. Everything all right? He asked, eyeing her through his dark round spectacles. Funny how the police around here seem to dress like characters out of a steampunk fantasy novel. Huh? Oh, yeah, Lolly stammered, feeling her cheeks flushed beneath her layers of heavy makeup. The constable placed a reassuring gloved hand on Lolly's shoulders. Well, there's a lot of spirits around tonight. And so, like, to this, like, I don't know, but this Hogan's Bay is just Halloween Town, like from Disney, the Disney TV film series of the same name, Halloween Town, right? Like,
it's modern day Shadowrun.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
sorry Mikey.
Yeah, no, like, anyone else watch that? Watch those movies as a kid, like the Halloween Town movies from
no.
the Family Channel. It just gave me that vibe, and like for context, Halloween Town is basically like these three kids find out they're half witches, and so they go with their grandmother who's a full witch to Halloween Town. It's like this like haven of like all the monsters and horror creatures and stuff like that where they live totally mundane, normal lives. Like they've got schools, they've got grocery stores, but it's all monsters living there like regular people. And I was like, Hogan's Bay is just that. I'm starting to feel, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm totally fine with the whimsy. It's just, it keeps throwing me off, and I don't know why at this point.
Especially since this is not the first Curtisville story we've read.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll continue on with my notes here. This is Lolly talking in her head, like trying to reassure her because of like the weird like paranoia she's getting. You haven't done anything wrong, have you? The fairies can't hurt you if you're carrying a token. Then a voice inside her head said, "It's not your imagination, and it isn't even your token, you pocky-eating, art-thieving, soul-leeching weeaboo. Hey, Pocky is a perfectly fine snack." Also, I gotta say, an interesting plot development to get a POV from Lolly's perspective, and we're gonna get more of that as the story goes on, and like it kind of made her sympathetic as the story went on. Like in a sad way. Like I'm not like 100% on her side, but like it almost made her like sympathetic in that like, oh, she's just trying way too hard. Like, and there's definitely like a tragedy to her in the story.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And this is interesting because like she appears like she's like in like she's gone to this town. We're not sure yet if she's gone to this town looking for Ellery or if she just happens to be going to this town, but it seems like she's being stalked by something. So like maybe she isn't actually like, maybe there isn't something actually like inherently evil to her, but there's something like shadowing her. I mean, there's certainly something in her mind, like talking to her about things and stuff like that too. So, and even like the again, this voice in her head is saying like that she's like a pocky eating, art thieving, soul leeching weeaboo. So like maybe like the art, I just clued in because like I think Mikey said this line in the in his Conjunction Junction. And it made me real because it'd been like a minute before between like reading chapter 4 and chapter 6, and I realized like, oh, this is like art thieving might be in reference to her like stealing the comics. She was going to steal the comic pages from Ellery because that was
said before the story, before the art theft was mentioned, right?
Yeah, well, this sentence here was mentioned, and then later on we get that like supposition from Ellery that like, oh, she was probably going to steal the art those comic pieces that she before being caught by the teacher. So it just made me like kind of remember those and maybe like link those two together. And then perhaps the soul leeching thing is also like a hint of like she's actually like the psychic vampire, because we still haven't it's still I'm starting to wonder now, like if she actually is like something monstrous or just like this somebody mundane who's like dabbled in something that she wasn't supposed to.
That's where I'm leaning, honestly.
Yeah, it's very curious, and well, I'll keep on with my notes because like I get a little bit more into that kind of stuff as we go on. But yeah, it's made her care. This chapter has started me thinking that like there's more depth to Lolly than just being sort of a one note villain that needs to be destroyed. But so yeah, moving on to the next thing I have here. So this is in regards to like the dog that's at Kess's feet. It was a large so she made no effort to dislodge the beast. Large dogs tended to make her nervous, and judging from the official looking star hanging on its collar, it was a police dog. Kess wondered if the dog was off duty or if it was actually helping out the local constable check for kids who were either dangerously intoxicated or high on something potent. And I swear to God, if this dog starts talking, it really shouldn't surprise me, because Wolf Cop.
Yeah.
Like
that doesn't
honestly,
mean it
like,
won't.
And I'm sure this isn't like the thing, the like the actual description, but like when it said like a police dog and like the dog was off duty and so, I immediately just thought that this dog is just like wearing like a cop outfit.
Like body armor and everything. He might be.
Yeah. But
he's just a druid that shapeshifted into a dog.
Yeah, he's druid cop.
Yeah.
Wolf Cop watches over Curtisville, and Druid Cop watches over Hogan's Bay.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then Whiz Cops are in charge of L.A.
Hell yeah. For those that don't know, look up Whiz Cops from Corridor Digital.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say they're in charge of Cheese Whiz.
Oh, that's a different type of Whiz Cop.
Yeah.
And the Whiz Cops are also a different faction of the P-Police.
Ooh.
Yeah. For public urination, of course.
Moving on. So I'll continue on with this one. Several of her friends walked up, and the one named Via Nakata, a 7th grader of Hawaiian, Japanese, and Nai descent, asked her, "What's wrong, Marina?" "Nothing. It's just," Marina paused. "It's nothing," she sighed again. Concerned, her friends glanced at each other, concerned, her friends glanced at each other. This wasn't like Marina, trying to hide her feelings whenever she was upset or sad. Okay, so I like reading this part here. It just hit me. Specifically, I'm reading about a person telling a story of a person telling a story. And
Yeah.
with that context in mind, it's kind of weird to me to get some of the finer details here. Like, it's kind of weird that like Ellery is telling the story about her friend telling her about this story and adding in like details like, oh, like Marina paused. It's nothing, she sighed again. Like, it's almost like she's reading from a script. Not telling a story, not telling a full on, not telling a like a campfire story, or like it just seems kind of surreal.
That's how the whole thing's been so far, because it's all done as if like she starts telling the story and then it fades into an actual like visual retelling of the story as if you were there back then. Meanwhile, she did not remember all this stuff word for word like this. You would never tell it like this.
In that regard, like the way that's been done, like like it's sort of, in a way, it's sort of like how movies do that, where like, all right, let me tell you a story. It started like this, and then it fades. It like kind of like fades to like an actual like basically like reinterpretation or like or like a reenactment of the story.
Yeah.
And like that's what this story is kind of doing. But like this particular spot, like kind of like threw me off a little bit because it clicked that like this is kind of weird the way this is being told.
It's like an onion. Lots of layers.
Yep. It's like an ogre.
Yep, that too.
Yep. But I'll move on to the next thing, and the last thing I have for chapter 4. But according to some of the eyewitness accounts, shortly after Via went missing, distant screams were heard coming from inside the locker. There was also a funky smell and these sticky sounding footsteps walking away. The sound grew even fainter, as if going down some vast unseen hallway. Though the locker was narrow and really cramped, and people couldn't see anything strange in there. So this kind of made me wonder if it's going to turn out this locker is like one of the entrances to, or gates to, that dimensional transit space that we've seen before in some of the Kess stories, like that place that where like I think it was in Short Hoggers. And the last day of October, we kind of got like this like sort of like transit hub space, where like other where there's like different doors to other places and stuff like that.
It was like in a stump in a beach or something like that.
Yeah, that was
as
like
I recall.
that was one of the keystone like gateways or to the,
Yeah.
But like it could be anywhere really if it's like that. So like this could be like this locker could be one of those spaces where like a creature could come in and out. And I'm just curious if that's actually like the case, or if this is just something completely different, or this is like a completely different scenario or situation. But given how connected a lot of these stories tend to be, I wouldn't put it past the writer to add that or to have that kind of thing. But that's all I've got for chapter 4. So, Mikey, these stands for evil.
Okay. So, let's see. At the beginning with the Lycorns, they splashed in and out of a shallow creek that meandered through the front yard of one of the stately townhouses, throwing up liquid moonbeams from their flying deer-like hooves.
Oh, I see. You thought they were vomiting the beams.
Yeah.
Magical creature.
Well, you know
Rainbows.
what?
Rainbows.
I just looked up because I should have looked this up earlier. I just typed in Lycorn, and at least like online, it's basically just the French way of saying unicorn. and there's a lot of rainbows around them in the imagery.
I mean, it's
So-
a unicorn. That's par for the course, sir.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right. But now I'm just picturing a unicorn just like barfing up rainbows.
Moonbeams.
Or moonbeams, yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, I don't know why me went to rainbows. You literally said moonbeams.
Just barfing up moonbeams. You guys wonder if like maybe licorns in this town are kind of like how deer pop up like here and there in like towns around us. Like they're just occasionally like you might occasionally spot like a doe or something like that, like just kind of walking around like praising on your property.
I would say yes, but the hooves are referred to as deer-like, which means deer exist.
Well, that's what I mean. Like no, like I mean they're still deer, but that's what I mean. Like the licorn are kind of like like they're acting like deer, even like if deer still exist in this world as well.
Yes.
Like they're just another like another species that's similar. It's kind of like because like I mean in the town that's near us, like there's like I'm always seeing I always see rabbits on people's properties, and I occasionally will see deer on people's properties.
Yes.
So
rabbits are common rarity, deer are a rare rarity, and ilkhorns are a like epic tier rarity.
Yeah. I mean, they're purple. I mean, like their name above their head is purple. I mean, you got like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then the next extra thought I have is in the locker number 490 section.
Mm-hmm.
I was too busy being a model student and making new friends to pay any attention to the local ghost lore. But let me go into vast detail about a haunted locker.
I mean, when you say it like that.
Sounds ridiculous. Also, to be fair, she did get a bunch of that ghost lore from her friend Veronica, so.
Yeah, but just.
Yeah.
I know absolutely nothing about this topic, yet let me go into full detail.
Let me info vomit all of.
And that's all I have for chapter 4.
Then Gamer, what do you have?
I got a couple. Hang on, I think I copy and pasted this one wrong. Like I missed the first couple of letters. Give me a second.
Future Beach is like.
Yeah, I'm sorry, future you. I'm really sorry. That's what it is. It's an M. I got it. Okay, so my first one. Marina knew that somehow this disturbing experience was connected to that locker. Even though she wasn't a superstitious person, she knew 2 of the locker numbers, 4 and 9, were considered unlucky in Japan. 4 was pronounced shi, which was the same pronunciation as death, while 9 was pronounced ku, which had the same pronunciation as agony or torture. She also noticed that when the numbers 4, 9, and 0 were added together, they came up with another unlucky number, 13. I just really like the detail of this. It's not something that everyone would have picked up on, especially since half of that is through knowledge of like Japanese wordage and such. But yeah, I like the layers and layers of bad luck numbers on this.
Yeah, like I was only aware of the 9 being number 9 being an unlucky number in Japan. I didn't realize about like 4 also being an unlucky number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because isn't it something to do with like, do they not have 9 on the floors like for buildings?
I think so. Yeah, it's something like that, or it's yeah. I don't know. They just try to avoid those numbers, like in the West, like or in North America specifically, because actually, fun story: 13 in the West is only an unlucky number more recently in history, like post World War One.
Oh yeah.
Recent, like I think before that it wasn't necessarily an unlucky number. It was actually more of like an American, like North American thing that 13 became an unlucky number
because they had to pick a number, and it's like, okay, it's that one. Let's go.
I'm sure there's a cultural, like, folkloric reason for why 13 became that number, like an unlucky number, similar to like how, again, 9 and 4 are unlucky because they sound like like bad things in Japanese. So
Yes. Still pretty neat, and I learned a thing.
yeah.
And then my next one is towards the end-ish of chapter 4, I think. This quote here. No, Veronica shook her head. On the day she disappeared, Via was really upset. Or Via? How would you pronounce that?
I used via, but like, yeah, like Vi, I guess, could also be work. Just like the A is silent kind of thing. I don't know.
That person was really upset. Had a lot of positive things going on in her life. Why would she suddenly leave like that? Veronica licked the mustard from her fingers before continuing. So, like, was she eating a sandwich this entire time she was telling the Locker 490 story? Like, I would have been reading this very differently in my head if that was the case. Much more muffled, mainly, of her, like, speaking through chewing.
I mean, I was also kind of thrown off by like Ellery like taking a bite of her yogurt. Like
was it
that,
a bite of yogurt?
Yeah, it made me double take. I didn't make a note of it, but like it made me double take. I was like, I guess that's correct.
Yeah, do you sip yogurt? Do you drink yogurt?
Yeah,
you
like,
eat it.
Yeah, you take a bite from the like you take a spoon of like you eat like a yeah, it's just weird because like I immediately because when I read that it was like I thought Ellery like was gonna finish with like Ellery took a bite of her sandwich, not take a bite of her yogurt.
But like, what word would you use in that situation, right?
I like that's why I was like that's why I wasn't gonna make a deal of it because it's like I guess that's correct.
Yeah.
This series makes like this show makes me like double take sometimes on like things that I've never like thought of or just take for granted when it comes to reading things.
Yeah. After this episode, you're gonna like go upstairs and like you see some yogurt on the table and you're just gonna like stare at it. It's like, what are you?
How do I eat you? How do I describe eating you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I took a bite of my Saint Benoit yogurt as I speculated on this.
Took a mouth. Okay, regardless, this is not what I brought this up for.
I know, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's mainly in regards to the mustard because she probably ate a sandwich or a hot dog or something while talking about this the whole time. Although I assume she isn't a slob like guys can be, I suppose. So she's probably not eating while speaking at the same time. But it's funny imagery regardless.
Yes.
And that's all I got for 4.
Okay. On to chapter 5, which is titled Bad Omens. The sequel to Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's first book, Good Omens.
Nice. I thought you were going to mention something just called Bad Omen.
Oh, yeah.
And then Bad Omen is like Alien and Aliens.
Nice.
And then they would do Bad Omens 3. And then Bad Omens versus Good Omens.
Moving on to the next.
Okay.
On to chapter 5, Bad Omens. This is what I got here. Kess, who had been staring at Ellery in frowning concentration, raised her right hand. Excuse me, she said hesitantly, but when is this Lolly McLaren character going to show up? Guys, let's welcome our guest host to the show, Kess.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the audience surrogate.
Yeah. Well, it was like Kess over here, basically like doing our job in story.
Kind of, yeah.
Questioning the story, critiquing the story she's being told.
She took her jab.
Yeah, no, I loved that. It was just like, guys, we have a new guest star. Her name's Kess. She's a cat girl named, a Gerdine. No, I just love that because it's just like, excuse me, when's this going to become relevant?
Wow, harsh.
That's what she says, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I love it. Absolutely fucking love it. But okay, moving on to the next thing I have. Glancing over, Kess noticed she was holding hands with one of the demonic-looking cybergoths. Hello there. The fearsome... hello there. The fearsome-looking creature stuttered. His onyx orbs soon dropped to their tightly clasped hands. Wow, sorry. Releasing her hands, he rubbed the back of his spiky neck awkwardly. Wait. So the cyber goth kid, or one of the cyber goth kids in this group, is also demonic? So is it like an awkward teen cyber demon, like from Doom?
Hell yeah.
Just an awkward teen. I was an awkward teen cyber demon. Is the name of my next creepypasta book, young adult novel.
I thought you were going to say that's the name of your high school metal band.
I mean, also that, yeah.
Awkward Cyber Demon.
We are awkward teen cyber demon.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just like I just suddenly like pictured it as like again like an imp, like a cybernized imp, or just like the cyber demon from Doom, but like a teen version. So like a scrawny, the cybernetic parts are too big for themselves.
Yeah, he's got to grow into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also possible that he's demonic looking.
Yes.
Not demonic, because it does say demonic looking in the actual wordage.
But then he's like rubbing the back of his spiky neck awkwardly. So it's like is that like spiky, like spiked up gel hair, or are there actual like spines growing out of his neck? Again, it's Curtisville stories, so like there's this fine line between like, is this actually like fantasy living in the mundane, or is it just over exaggeration from like children?
Yeah.
But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. What's your... So this one's going to be a bit lengthy, the read, but we'll get through it. What's your name exactly? Lachlan Alona Haviland, the girl chirped. I'm a high elf, by the way. She brushed back her corkscrew hair to show us her rather oversized pointed ears. Kess gave Ellery a puzzled look. But I thought you just said her name was Lolly McLaren. Megra nudged her friend gently in the ribs. Wait and listen. Ellery paused long enough to stretch her arms and rotate her shoulders. Now, I have seen elves, typically Scandinavian looking, with mostly blonde hair, pale skin, and blue or green eyes. Generally, they were tall and slim with sharp, delicate features and long pointed ears. Although the girl didn't strike me as rather elven-like, with her stocky build and rather geeky looks, I figured she must be a British or German variety of elf, which were small and were often mistaken for fairies or short humans. And so at this point in the story, I was like, because like we suddenly get like it's revealed that like Lachlan's has like she's saying she's a high elf and that she's got elf ears and stuff like that, and I was like, for a moment, I thought it was going to be revealed that on top of being an otaku, that Lachlan/Lolly was also going to be an elf poser, like the negative quality you can pick up in Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey. Which are people who really wish they had expressed as an elf when the awakening happened, which in Shadowrun lore, like around 2012-ish, people started just suddenly like, oops, I'm an elf, or oops, I'm an orc, or they started like transforming suddenly, either at birth or just like sometime in their life. Like they just suddenly express into a fantasy being, not just a human. Like they start showing signs of like being an elf or a dwarf and all that stuff. So there are people in the world in the Shadowrun universe that like are human or like some other metatype that wish they were another metatype, and those are they because they want to do that so badly, they will cosplay as their desired metatype, and so you get like elf posers or orc posers and what have you, and it's a negative quality because it's socially uncouth. to do so. Like it's much in the same way, sort of in the same vein as like I guess almost like it borders between like cultural appropriation and like furries in terms of like the sort of the social stigma that's in the world.
Yeah. Also, when you brought this up, I didn't think about it. Like, for some reason, every time I thought about like the different types of posers in Shadowrun, I always assumed they were all humans. But no, like there could be an orc that's an elf poser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they've filed down their tusks and teeth to make them more like elegant, and they've like maybe gotten some plastic surgery to like reconstruct their face to be less orcish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
wait, could a dwarf be a troll poser?
Yeah, I mean,
you got some lifts put in.
It'd be some major lifts. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be some. It definitely takes some more. Or again, they're just like a short troll, or they just identify as a short troll.
Or he just like his whole body's cybernetic to like extend him up to troll height.
Yeah, or they're like biotech, just like give them extra bones to increase their muscle mass and such. Yeah, it's a weird, like it's a weird area in the Shadowrun lore. And I thought this story like might be kind of going that route with like the whole like she's on top of being an otaku, she's also just like a fantasy character wannabe. And an update on this, like, because that's what I was thinking is like, and then but then it seemed like, oh no, the story is actually going to be like she was some kind of an elf or some kind of entity. And then there was an update from like later on in the, I think chapter 5 or chapter 6. Oh no, she really is human, desperately cosplaying as an anime character. Like those ears are definitely fake. And like especially with like her tirade that she has like later on in the stories, where it's like she's saying that she's like a dragon goddess or a wolf queen and all that. So I was like, oh honey,
part tiger, I think was one.
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole tirade. I didn't actually copy it down for my notes, but like it's a whole tirade, and I was just like, oh honey, that's so cringe. And I've got more on that as it goes on, but so yeah, that basically when she like first reveals in chapter 5, like, oh, she's got elf ears and like she thinks she's like an elf. I was like, oh, is this gonna like turn out that she's a poser? And it kind of came true, like my prediction, because she is kind of a like she's an anime fantasy character wannabe like poser. So, but I'll move on to the next thing I have for chapter 5, which is this one here. But before I could ask her more about herself, Lachlan promptly let out a fangirl squeal that made me and Ryu jump. Hotoru-chan! She screamed, her shrill voice sending tremors into our very souls. Did anyone tell you? You look a lot like Ichigo Kurosaki. Oh my god! That's so sugoi kawaii! You know...
You didn't have to commit to that as much as you did, by the way.
I'm a method actor, sir.
Oh, okay.
No, but so, before this, I was actually starting to feel bad for Lachlan, on how everyone was treating her. But man, she makes it hard sometimes. Like
phrasing.
You know what I mean? It makes it difficult to feel sorry for her. Yeah. And then we get on to the last bit I have here for chapter 5. And this is like kind of like an off comment after when she's taking a break telling her story that Ellery does at the fire. I may be a geek, but there are levels of geekdom that I will not even cross, such as the weeaboo and otaku-kin freak shows. Lolly Meeker was a freak show unto herself, and this glomping incident would only be the start of her insanity. So first off, grammar inquisition for a second. There are levels of geekdom that even I will not cross. I think is what really is what it should be, not that I will not even cross. I mean, it both work, but I think that even I will not cross is better. Secondly, jokingly to MM Pratt 99, are you okay? Did an anime con hurt you? Don't get me wrong, glomping was a rampant issue back when I was going to conventions and such. And for anybody who doesn't know, glomping and like that kind of stuff is basically like unconsensual tackle hugging. That was like inspired by like actions in various animes, and like at conventions, people would just glomp you, would just like run up to you and just like give you a big hug, unprovoked or without consent. And I think initially it was like ah ha ha between friends, but then like you start doing to like total strangers that, and like with anime fans and anime like cons and full of nerds who are socially awkward, it can kind of get a little messy, and just like don't do it. just don't do it.
They banned glomping a while ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, but back when we were going, well, at least when I was going to conventions, was like 10, 12 years ago. I remember it was a problem, and then like more recently it's gotten banned and some of that, rightly so.
Well, it was banned like the 10, 12 years ago. Like, the last
like as soon as
I went, it said glomping is banned right as you signed up to go in, type thing. And if you were caught doing it, you could be ejected from the convention.
Yeah. It was an action. It was like sort of a rampant action that like didn't last very long because it was sort of just like socially unacceptable, and rightly so. And a bit of the stereotyping here in this story and like is fairly accurate from my experience with anime community, and like generally the as with the generally negative view of anime fans from other students growing up in school. Like I know, like going to like high school and even middle school, like anime wasn't very popular, so like it was sort of a not frowned, well, it was probably frowned upon, or just like you're weird for liking that stuff kind of thing, or for taking it as far as you do. And like again, nerds going to conventions, like there's the whole thing of like and especially nowadays, I think it's more reinforced, and I think that reinforcement has actually helped con going a little bit with like guys like shower, bring deodorant, like hygiene. But I remember back at like when I was going to like conventions and some of that, like like there was sort of a funk that sort of fell over cons. So, but damn, for the rest of the story, like bashing anime fans and otaku and some of that, it's just like, man, who hurt you? Like what convention like turned like soured your perspective? And I'm not saying this in real seriousness toward like Pratt or anything like that, because this is a story. And this is just like, this is a character having these opinions. But I've been noticing a trend of like fanime hating in a lot of these stories. And I'm just curious. But
I assume it was a glomping incident.
Yeah. But so that's the end of my notes for chapter 4, or so chapter 5. So Mikey, these stands for evil. What do you have?
So my one note for chapter 5 is, so who has locker 490 then? Nadine finally asked. I don't know if you noticed, but I stumbled over this when it was part of my conjunction junction, because it made me think of who was phone, and I read who was locker 490.
I did hear that. I do remember hearing that, and like I was gonna make it a who was phone reference, but then like it passed by too quickly, so I forgot about it until now. But yeah, I did. But who was locker 409? But who was locker 490?
Yeah, that brings up another point. Is locker 409 also haunted?
I mean, probably.
What about locker 49?
Yeah, because the zero is not needed at all.
No.
Or locker 94.
Or 44, 99.
Yeah, just
444. There's a lot of haunted lockers here, honestly.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my chapter 5.
Okay. Gamer, what do you have for chapter 5?
Not a whole lot, but a couple. One is like they get the story finished. As soon as they tell the story, there's like the lightning that hits immediately and puts the power out. Like super cliche and all that, but it was done on purpose since it was mentioned how it was weird how that happened right at that time. So I can't fault it for it. But at the moment, I'm like, of course, the power went out right then.
It is definitely a cliche trope.
Yes. And then the only other thing I have is like, by this point, I'm like, keeping track of all these characters is hard. There's so many characters, like, and I do the dumb thing of writing down every character that is in this.
No.
I write down all of their names and a very brief description of what they are to try to keep them straight, especially in a long story like this. So when a character is brought up, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not a new character. That's someone that was mentioned before. But God, there's so many.
Organize them by because there's like Cass and Megra and Ellery from like the present day, but then there's like Ellery, Veronica, Nadine.
I'll just read you through my process.
Yeah.
So I have the now cast, which is the people in the now, like the people that are at the campfire in the story situation.
Yeah.
And then there's the story about Lolly being told to the present, to the now cast, and in that there's a subsection of the gingers, and a subsection of Lolly's family and the adults, and then all the other ones are just the kids.
What about the story within the story?
Yeah, that's my next one. I have the 490 story from 1970, which has those few characters in there as well.
Yeah,
that are all sectioned out.
Marina and Via and all that. Yeah.
No, there's Garth as well, who's a
Garth,
guy.
Yeah.
He's a guy, and he said one line, but he has a full name, so he might be important.
That's amazing.
Yeah. There's so many characters.
Yeah. Legitimately, I love that. I love your note process.
I'm glad you love it because I hate it. I hate how my brain works. I do appreciate how among the gingers, the O'Briens, there's a Ryu and a Ken. I hope that they grow up and learn martial arts together.
Wait, there's a Ken in
his little brother's name's Ken.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, there's a Ryu and a Ken. I'm sure they will learn to throw fireballs and rising uppercuts in the future through magic.
If only Hataru was Hibiki.
Oh, he would have to be the goof, though.
Yeah.
Then there's Uncle Akuma. He's a dick, though.
I mean, that's basically Yukiko, but
I suppose.
Anyway,
that's all. That's basically all I got for whatever chapter that was.
Chapter 5.
Yes, I was scrolling through as I'm saying that, so I'm like, I didn't want to commit to a number. That is 5. You were right.
Okay. All right, on to chapter 6 then, the very special snowflake. So, kind of on, not exactly a segue from like your note-taking process, but like something similar. So, let's start with this. Cooperate with the Northern Commonwealth, or else you'll find yourself listed as a subversive or troublemaker, with no way to clear your name unless you submit to a mind wipe. Next thing you know, they'll be implanting GPS trackers under everyone's skin. Kess didn't find the last comment very funny, seeing that there was a similar device embedded in the back of her neck. So what happened next? She asked Ellery, wishing to change the subject. Wait, what? Okay, yeah. So apparently, Kess has a chip in the back of her neck and stuff like that, and like this Northern Commonwealth thing, which kind of sounds vaguely familiar from again the last day of October and like the whole again the greater Curtisville world setting. And to this point, I really feel like I need a lore Bible for this story sometimes, or for these stories.
Yeah, because there's so much being said. It's hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah, and that's not like a bad, like that's not an insult to the story. Like no, like I'd love to explore to explore it through the story's like the setting through the stories. Like I love to do that. But occasionally I want to dive into a more direct source of the setting so that I have a little bit more context.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, we kind of dove into these stories like with one story, but then we found out there was like sequel stories to that, or like there was like kind of like story after story after story, and like that began like the series, or like that that continued on and like have like gave us like inklings and bits of pieces of the setting that we've kind of cobbled together as we've read through these stories over the years. But I'd really love like an actual like lore Bible on like how the world works in this setting. Just
Yeah, because we're slowly getting there, story by story, learning it. But
Yeah.
like, there's so much.
yeah, and there's a lot.
Our cup runneth over, I suppose, of
And we're
just the amount of lore.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we are doing this like in between like other story, like other authors' stories and stuff like that. So occasionally, like we don't remember things from previous stories, or like half remember things from previous stories because we've got so much experience with other stories we've read. So, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, man, I'd love like a lore Bible for the Curtisville stories, just so I can get a proper contextual grasp on exactly what's going on in the world. But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. I let her go pretty quick as soon as I noted the disgusting odor and the fact that what I had at first thought was really bad dandruff was actually the motorized kind of biting variety. Kess hissed, a Gardine's way of expressing disgust. Okay, so and this is like my note in the now, like as I was reading the story. So assuming that description is lice, like motorized kind of biting variety of dandruff, why was this girl allowed to go to school with them if it was this noticeable? Like, and we get an update. The situation does eventually get addressed as a plot point. But it takes the vice principal like to like look down and like get up close to Lolly to realize like her hygiene and the fact that she's got these bugs all over her.
I think it's because she hasn't made for lack of a better term, she hasn't made a big enough stink. Not literally, but you know what I mean. In regards to causing some shenanigans in a big scene for someone to actually get close to her and like be able to actually notice it.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, yeah, speaking of that tirade and some of that, we get into that a little bit with this. Next thing I have. Everyone you know in your fluffy pink Segoy world is brain rotting, ape turd, fandom rubbish. Everything you do related to your weeabooish interests is absolutely worthless when compared to stuff in the real world. And this is Yukiko talking down to Lolly after she glomped his brother Ryu, and then had an otaku tantrum in front of everybody in the hallway about her supposed fantastical heritage and supernatural abilities. Like I think she even like mentions like she has weather control, which she is like apparently showing now, and so it made kind of wonder like, does she have some power? Like is she just like using the storm outside and just like again pretending that she has the power to control the weather, hence why like the weather, because the weather's turning bad the more agitated she's getting, kind of. But is that purposeful or is that just coincidence in the story?
Yeah, it's sort of left in the air, but I'm assuming she's just a poser in all things.
Yeah, and so like kind of getting back to like what we were saying earlier about her like both feeling sorry for her and also like the way she acts and stuff like that in this world. Part of me actually does feel bad for Lolly, but more so in just how delusional she sounds regarding her fandom fanaticism. Like, poor sad girl, but also this is cringe as hell. Like, you need to get a little bit more self-esteem, girl. It's also interesting because this is a world where non-human fantastical beings and outsider entities seem to often live among normal earthbound humans. So it's it must seem kind of weird and almost like appropriation to them to see people cosplaying characters like them. Like again, like anime conventions and like those like and cosplayers must seem like kind of insensitive in a way to some of these beings that are coming and living among humans.
Yeah, because wouldn't that be sort of like going out in blackface in a way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That at least that's an idea to take with this kind of like how this sort of interaction would work between like another worldly culture and like our own culture and stuff. Like that gets into some like interesting like philosophical and like again societal ideas that I think could really like be interesting to like tackle with in a story like that that has this kind of a world. But yeah, it's again like and yeah, like I'm not gonna like go read the story or read this chapter specifically for the tantrum because it is extensive. her tantrum, like it's pretty great in terms of like how bombastic it is. But yeah, Yukiko just kind of going off on her about that, and yeah, like she's just a middle schooler who like and like again, anime fans like her like is this actually is like what they're doing insensitive to like some of these supernatural beings or these otherworldly beings that like come and like live among us or like spend time here. But and it does like again this one we get like a lot of it's told by Ellery, but we kind of get I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of there were moments where I was just kind of feeling sorry for Lolly, just the way she's like being so awkward socially and like and I think maybe because like I mean I did grow up as a nerd and like as an anime fan I never was like this obnoxious as an anime fan, but like I kind of get it in a way like how she's being treated.
Yeah,
so it will be interesting if we find out like as the story goes on that she actually isn't like super bad, she's just being stalked by something bad. And like that's the whole like situation, but like I'm curious to see if that's where it's going to go or if it's going to be something different. But I'll move on to the next thing I have here. And speaking of whimsical things and living among the regular, Yukiko stretched his mouth into a wide mischievous grin and shook his head. Nah, the Jabberwockies ate all the bears. He then let out a loud guffaw. So I took it as really meant to be a joke. Although with Yukiko, you never could tell if he was really telling the truth or spinning this really tall yarn. A little like Curtisville stories sometimes. Like, is this whimsical everyday fantasy? Like fantasy creatures and beings like living among the mundane? Or is this all just or is this over-exaggeration from like a child's perspective? Like, is this like childhood pretend or is this like fantastically mundane?
it is hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. And then my last thing here is actually just the ending where it's like how she found out that like there was like somebody like the person who owned Locker 490 or like around Locker 490 somebody did die. And at first she was wondering if it was Veronica. Or Kess was wondering if it was Veronica, and then Ellery was like, "No, the dead girl," and like no, I found out from the dead girl herself, and it was just like that's the end of this chapter. It's like dun dun, and I guess we'll have to find out next time exactly who that dead girl is. So, and I am kind of curious, like, is it somebody that we've already like heard from, or is it going to just be like, is it going to be a new character that you have to add to your roster of characters for the story?
No.
or will you simply just have to change the status of a previous character that you've marked out?
That'd be the easier path.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose we'll have to see and find out. It is kind of weird, like again, like the story. It is interesting because like obviously this is a very long form story and with like multiple chapters, so we're kind of getting what we often ask for in creepypastas is like you're writing this story, like you can take all the time you want to like build up and stuff, and that's kind of what the story has so far been doing, like taking its time in a good way to a degree, and like building up like what's going on and stuff like that. So like we're not just getting like a quick answer as to like what's going on in the world. But that's fine because this is like a chaptered out story that's like almost 100 pages long. So
and especially in a world where it's not all just real life the way that we know it. So when it takes little tangents to explain one thing or another, or even just tease one thing or another, it makes the world feel more alive, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I am still interested, and I like how we got a lot more like kind of context to Lolly and Ellery's, or Lolly and the world's like relationship. In this one, like we're getting it's through Ellery, but like we're getting more and more of like Lolly's backstory with Ellery and like and her friends and such, and how it all kind of began and how it's going to hopefully progress, and how we're eventually going to get to a point where we find out why Ellery wants her cursed, and like what did she do that was so bad outside of just being a disgusting otaku.
Yeah, because so far it's not warranted at all.
Yeah. So far, I'm actually kind of like, I think Ellery's the bitch, but.
Yeah, like
a little bit.
Unfortunately, like all the story that she told so far hasn't really given any points towards putting a curse on this girl.
Yeah, like when we read Shadow Fog and Firelight, like it was sort of it was a little bit cut and dry because like we were getting it from Ellery's point of view, and it was like, yeah, this girl Lolly was a psychic vampire, like bad things happen around her, and something bad happened around Ellery and her friends. And so that's why, like, she wanted Lolly cursed. But like, the more information we're getting about Lolly and her backstory, the more she just seems like a tragic character, not and like almost as much a victim in regards to like the situation as like even Ellery maybe, and even maybe more. Like Ellery's not painting a pretty picture of herself, kind of in this story. Like there's some parts of it, obviously, like again, like Lachlan, whatever, glomping and like being like socially awkward, but like that's just like middle school like awkwardness. And you can kind of see like from Ellery's point of view, like this is like, yeah, like she's complaining about all this and like telling it from her point of view of like how disgusting she is and all that stuff. But like that's also like what kids do too, like they and like how they perceive other people. Like they're very like often like surface level and shallow and like over exaggerate rumors and stuff like that. So it's interesting to me how this is playing out, and how some of the information we're getting isn't necessarily like condemning Lolly yet. And in fact making her more sympathetic, or more like is she really the villain here? So but that's all I've got for chapter 6. So Mikey, these stands for you.
All right. So my first actual thought here is a long one.
Oh.
So we have Yukiko. Or Yukiko.
Yeah.
He is the older brother in a successful band, which makes me think that he's an adult.
Yeah. And in fact, the dad later on like kind of confirms that with like, aren't you a little old to be in? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing is, how does he sneak up on a bunch of sixth graders?
I mean, he had to make an appearance somehow. So, but like,
yeah. And not only does he sneak up on them, but then he verbally assaults a sixth grader.
Yeah, that is kind of, yeah. When you put it in that perspective, that's kind of like shitty.
Yeah. Well, like, where are the teachers? Where are the police that are in the building?
Yeah.
During this shouting match, and there's even death threats in this shouting match. Like, if a cop heard those, they would be there giving a stern warning to the kid, giving those warnings, saying like that's not acceptable in society.
Like the vice principal showing up and getting like and like clearing out like
diffusing the situation.
Lolly. Diffusing the situation is the least of what should have been done.
Yeah.
And much earlier. It should have been done way earlier, but
yeah, because he just laid into her for like
oh my God.
so long.
Yeah. And I mean, she
then,
also retorted with with a much crazier rant.
yeah.
Yeah, like Yukiko wasn't just being harsh or very harsh. He was being insanely harsh.
Yeah.
Like I
Like-
expected the first couple lines of insults, but like, damn, they just kept going and going.
Yeah, and I think I think that's also why we're starting to feel a little bit sorry for Lolly, because she's just a delusional sixth grader.
Yeah, like
Like-
she's not old enough to like truly have like cemented her own identity kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Hence why she's like kind of taken on this anime obsession, and like that again. That shit happens.
yeah, she's still a kid. Take it easy, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's getting
there's
like, yeah, sorry.
Hmm?
Go. No, you go.
no, continue.
Oh, and then she's getting like, just like, oh, what's the word for like, not called out, but like, not like chided out, or she's getting, what's the word for that? Like, it's, goddamn my brain. She's just getting like,
Chastised.
yeah, she's getting like horribly chastised from this like clearly adult like male who's like also like like a celebrity.
Mhm.
So like it's just like it's just kind of weird, and like he's got like ogreish bodyguards around him.
Well, that's another problem, which is that later we find out that he has bodyguards, and there's a list of facts about his bodyguards. Like, if they were there, that would have de-escalated the whole situation from the get-go. Because they're big and burly, and kids are scared of big and burly.
yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
but she's
enough
also
of them
nuts.
there. Yeah, but there's also like enough of them there that like.
But
Yeah,
again,
it's
why
so
aren't the
much
bodyguards
comical.
stepping in as soon as the death threats are mentioned? Like,
Yeah,
Didn't have a
it's
chance because the
worst
vice principal did.
bodyguards ever.
you know what? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say this now because like I meant to put this in my notes, but I chose not to. But fuck it. The story again, like the characters in the story, because I'm not gonna claim that like the author's doing this, like kind of like has these prejudices. Just obviously characters in the story are all kind of like shitting on fandom on anime and anime fans and stuff like that. But honestly, this whole like encounter, this entire scene of like Yukiko going on like arguing and kind of in this conflict with Lolly, honestly, like I was just watching it, it's like this kind of feels like I'm watching like a scene from an anime. Which is like how like over the top this middle school drama is becoming, and like the way like he's acting is very much like older brother like sort of character type in an anime. So it's very very peculiar that like the story these characters that hate anime so much are acting an awful lot like anime characters.
Or is it that anime characters act a lot like people in real life?
I mean, maybe.
Anyway,
Sorry, I just had to put that out there, but yeah.
You're absolutely right, though.
yeah. And then we get this quote here. There was just no way that cool business-like logic was going to get through the glorious J-pop haze surrounding her brain. Twitch Marshall says, he was just in a shouting match with her and interrupted her death threats. And that's cool business-like logic?
Yeah.
Well, no, the cool business like logic happened after the death threats, where he said like, "Well, in society these days, blah 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 blah." I think it's specifically that part. The rest of it was not.
Yeah, that's probably closer to what it is.
But it's just the whole thing. As a whole, it's not cool business like logic.
No, as a whole, but like that's not what it's targeting. But yeah.
And as pointed out that later it gets pointed, aren't you guys a bit tall to be in middle school? And it's like, finally, some logic. But it's
Yeah.
way too late.
It's
Just
almost, I have to say, like, it's almost like the story that's being told to us might not be entirely accurate because it's being told by another child. Or by
That's true. This is all just her memory from how long ago?
And from her perspective, which is also not like isn't an adult character by any means, and is also not a like objective. I think it's objective is the word I'm looking for. An objective observer or narrator. Like it's a very biased narration we're getting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my next actual thought here is one of the kids says, "Not another lice epidemic." And to me, this again, just I already had no suspension of disbelief because of the whole ranting of Yokiku, but this didn't help because I feel like epidemic is too large of a word for 6th to 8th grader, but saying that they would likely know pandemic nowadays because they've survived through it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Nowadays,
but that word is more common. Pandemic, not epidemic.
Okay,
and for the 6th to 8th grader to know that word just seems too smart. Again, bring me back to the high schooler smartness that's being in these 6th to 8th graders.
Okay, so first off, like, yes, pandemic nowadays, but like the story is, I think the story was written in like 2013 ish, so like pre-pandemic stuff. But like also, I don't know, like it is hard for me to say because like I feel maybe I'm just gaslighting myself, but I feel like I knew a bunch of those kind of like fancy words.
Well,
even when I was in middle school,
I know there was talk about lice.
Yeah.
And how it was bad, but I don't think anyone ever used epidemic.
Yeah, it could just be like another, not another lice problem, I guess, if you want to go more simple, like more childlike language,
or even outbreak.
Yeah, I was going to suggest outbreak.
Yeah, outbreak would also work. Yeah,
but the other thing is like it's entirely possible that this one person that used this one word was just the smart kid.
Yeah,
yeah. The valedictorian.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you don't know.
All right. And now to be critically silly,
please.
So when the vice principal steps in and does the whole name bit, my mind went to, "Come with me, Lloyd. My name's Lloyd."
No,
that's not what your father says. Now come with me, Lloyd.
Lloyd. It's Lloyd, Dad.
What is that from, though?
It's from like I think it's from Lego Ninjago. I think.
Ninjago,
what the hell?
Yeah, Ninjago. It's like Lloyd. It's Lloyd, Dad. No, Lloyd. Lloyd.
Lloyd.
I should know. I named you. You ruined my life. How can I ruin your life? I wasn't even there for.
Wow. That's awesome and horrible.
It's such a good meme and bit. Lloyd. Oh shit.
You're gonna force me to watch Lego movies now?
Damn it. It's a TV show.
Oh, is it? Okay. Because I've seen the Lego movie and it was actually good.
It's not actually half bad animated wise. So.
Yeah. That's not the story though.
No, but thank you, Mikey, for bringing that up because I love that scene so much.
Yeah, that's into my actual thoughts.
All right, Gamer, what do you got for chapter 6?
I got one left, and it's possibly silly as well. I don't know, might not be. This is in regards to actual Ginger Hotaro coming out, not the fake one. Just as I was about to ask him what exactly was it? What? Just as I was about to ask him about what exactly was it that the elves were smuggling in, Hotaro came running up. Hey there, Hotaro, I called to him, before noticing the pale and sick look on his face. So as soon as I heard that, I'm like, how could she tell that he had a pale look on his face? Because he and his brother were described as having a quote-unquote strangely pale face. So he must have been like literally white as a sheet if he's pale, not just standard pale. There's like, yeah, because he's like strangely pale, but he's strangely pale right now.
Well, maybe he turned into a pale.
You know what? You're right. I didn't. For some reason, I didn't see that as an option.
It's just Hotaro with like a pail over his head, with like a smile, with a face painted on it.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the critically silly moment.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, it does bring into question like how pale these guys are, if they can become paler than pale, unless he's like see-through now.
True. Oh God.
Ultimate pale.
You can see like the nerves endings and all the like the skull and stuff of that through his.
Yeah. It's like someone failing at an invisibility like roll in a D&D game.
Oh God.
Just like it makes your clothes and skin invisible, but like all of your musculature and bone structure still visible.
Or worse, it's that glitch in like Assassin's Creed, specifically Assassin's Creed Unity, where like the person's face would be completely like would just like go away, and it was just their eyes. It was just the eyes and the teeth.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was so bad, especially when there's like a romantic scene between the two characters, and they're just like they're sharing a kiss, and it's just eyes and teeth.
Oh, on both characters, not just one.
No, on the one character.
No, I see. That is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have left because I chimed in a lot.
You mean it was horrible or horribossum?
That's right. Yes, that's it. I believe it was horribofful before, but now this is horribossum. You're right.
Yeah. But that's all.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, for now.
Cool. All right, then on to final thoughts. So yeah, interesting to get more context about Lolly and her relationship with Ellery and like the situation that's going on. Getting a bit more of her story makes her more tragic in terms of like being like an antagonist supposedly for this story. Though I haven't seen much of her psychic vampirism just yet. So all I've seen so far is just like the sad, ordinary middle school otaku who just lives in cringe among a world of actually like otherworldly beings living among us and stuff like that. So like
there was one scene. I forget which character it was, if it was Nadine or Veronica or someone, but like someone who's disgusted by Lolly when she first showed up in the classroom, and then when they were all being escorted out, she was like nicely opening the door for her, which seemed out of character for her as it was brought up in the story. So that may have been a little bit of like the psychic abilities being shown very subtly. I don't know.
Maybe, but like, I mean, every time somebody touches like her, even like aside from like the license of it, they are immediately disgusted by it. So,
well, that's what I mean. Like, even though she was disgusted, she's like being nice to her now all of a sudden.
Oh,
which seems like there's some sort of like mind control, tomfoolery happening.
Yeah, some kind of influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like even in like the now, like with the now cast.
Yes.
Like when Lolly is like on the streets of Hogan's Bay, and she's like thinks she sees some specter, and then she's also got some inner monologue that she's in conflict with. So like it makes her more like human in a way, not just like a not just a 2D cutout like villain or like kind of like nemesis that like Ellery initially kind of seems to like paint her as. Like it gives her. There's more depth, I think, to Ellery than I think there's more depth to Lolly than I think Ellery is painting with her story about her.
Wait, because Ellery's only seeing what she sees. She's not seeing what she can see.
Yeah, and she's clearly biased in the situation. So, why did my screens just go dark? What?
Went into sleep mode.
I guess, yeah. So yeah, I'm still intrigued to keep reading and see just like if she goes bad or how bad this gets, and if Ellery is warranted to get her cursed by kind of thing. Like, is this actually like who's really in the right here or who's in the wrong? I'm curious now on that angle than before. So, but that's my final thoughts. So, Mikey, the East Ends for Evil.
Well, these chapters really didn't help my view of the story. Like the Yukiko shouting match really for me brought the story down because he's older and he's supposed to know better. But he just comes off as an ignorant twat.
I mean,
even adults can be ignorant twats.
I was gonna say, like, do you not know? I know you know people like adults who are absolute twats, that should know better, but don't.
But to have an argument or a shouting match with a 6th grader,
one that's a stranger, even.
Yeah, like that.
Now, mind you, like emotions were running hot because like she was like harassing. For all from his point of view, she was harassing his little brother, and so he decided to put her in her place. But yeah, the story tries to, or at least like Ellery's take on this, tries to paint him as like a hero here, when really like us reading it, it also comes off as just being a jerk. And like,
you know how I thought it was gonna go with Yukiko showing up and doing that? I thought it was gonna be like he pulled her off and he's gonna talk to his little brother, being like, "Yeah, the girls can't stay away from me. Hey, it must be in the family." That kind of thing, and then leave it at that. But no, he's like just immediate, like, new target acquired. You know,
don't worry, bro. Don't worry, bro. I'll deal with her. All right, you little fucking punk.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's like I forget what movie it is. That movie where like the kids go into the future and they're adults now, but like they go back into the past and they beat the shit out of their bullies from the past. Like while the Doom music plays in that YouTube cut.
Oh no, that's not a movie. That's it's a show. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and like the characters just like the guys are like, I think the context is the guys are like, they were being like bullied like as they were walking down the street, and then they realize, wait, we're adults. We can fucking just deal with these kids, and then they just go up to it and just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. That's what it felt like he was about to do.
Yeah, no, legit.
It's like, guards get her.
For anybody listening, like, yeah, go on YouTube and like when the Doom music hits, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's a weird combination of search terms.
It's so ridiculously like, because obviously like the action, what they're doing is terrible. Yes. But it's darkly comedic because it's just like, yeah, it's about it on par with like Jay and Silent Bob at the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. They have all this money, and they know all of the assholes online who pissed them off, and so they go all around the country, like door to door, basically just beating the shit out of these like trolls. Are you blah 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 hater number 555? It's like, yeah, I fucking hate those guys. All right, and then they just like grab the kid and just start like beating the shit out.
See, in the context of something that you know is not real, it's hilarious. But like,
in real life,
even in a creepypasta where like you're led to believe that this is a world that exists and you're trying to get immersed in it,
Yeah.
it's kind of like weird and like
I think because those two examples that we gave were comedies.
yes.
This story is a horror.
Yes.
And also grounded in like the reality of like this is supposed to be presenting a world that is to be taken seriously, sort of thing. So like in that serious vein, it's not okay. But yeah, I think that's and excuse me, Mikey, for interjecting, but I think that's what it's like where you're getting at here is like the like this guy's like not a hero.
No.
Like he is, I think, like kind of meant to be somewhat antagonistic, at least maybe from the reader's point of view, but like for the person who's telling the story, like from their point of view, like it was like something nice, but really it's not a nice action what he did.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, he started off on a good note because I mean he's a member of a band, but then that went out the window.
Yeah, he just became a nastier person as it went on. He overdid it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, unfortunately, because of this, my opinion of the story has gone down to a non-recommend for the current overall.
Oh, we'll have to see if the story turns you around or if you stubbornly stay at the bottom of that hill.
Mm-hmm.
Always time will tell.
Yep.
All right, Gamer.
Sorry, I'm toggling two different mutes. One on my headset because I'm used to hitting that one, but I was actually doing it through. I'm here. So it doesn't matter. Regardless, for me the story is like starting to get traction now that we know the deal with Locker 490, and we're getting like a little bit of info on Lolly. It just kind of seems funny though, because like the story's being told to a group to give them a good reason to let her curse Lolly. Yeah. But after 6 chapters, she's just an overweight, smelly otaku who lives in a fantasy world in her head, and she's a kid still.
Yeah,
like she claims to be controlling the weather, but I think it's bullshit on her part to make other people believe her story or attempt to. But at this point, her only power is her power to clear a room with her smell and evacuate a school with her lice.
And to be fair, there is something following her, or like something putrid, like about her. Because like, what the fuck was with that black puddle of writhing things on the bus, and the cloaked figure that she thought she saw at the corner of her eye as she's walking down the street. Like, it makes it seem like she's as much a victim.
Yes, but the thing that she saw and the thing that she heard are potentially explainable through possible insanity. The thing that she left on the bus isn't. That's unexplained right now. The weird spaghetti monster. We'll figure that out, I guess. But I don't know. I do feel like overall, I wish the story kind of got to the point a little quicker, because, like, I don't know. I imagine it'll all be wrapped up together nicely eventually. But like in the format of a campfire story, to give magical beings a reason to curse someone, it's really long-winded and like winds in and out of seemingly unrelated stories to like get back to the point of why Lolly's a bad person.
You know, it's bad when one of the characters in your story is like, when's this? What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, when's Lolly going to come into this?
But like I said before, I appreciate the world building and all, like seeing all the stuff that's happening, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in the context of like these people sitting around listening to the story, unless everyone is just hanging out anyways. So like, I'm going to go into this long story and tell you guys everything, compared to, I just want to give you a quick rundown of why she's a horrible person. Because it sounded like originally she was wanting to get out of there to find someone else to tell all this information to. And yet she's here talking for hours now.
Yeah. And I mean, like, now there's like even more like beings, both like mundane and fantastical, like showing up and just like shooting the shit, hanging out by the fire. So
Mm.
listening, they stay a while and listen to my tale.
That's her accent now.
Yeah, that's Ellery's. Yeah, Ellery is now Kane from
Yeah.
Deckard Kane from Diablo.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's that kind of like, yeah, like it started off like, again, like with the chapter 1, which was again like originally like converted to a short story. Like it almost like that one actually had like it was going to be like a short like telling and like just explanations of what's going on, and then like what was going to follow is going to be like the actual like the events of like the modern day, of like the present day. But the more we've been diving into these chapters, the more we've been getting just more story and backstory that's like really long-winded, not in a bad way, but like long-winded in for like the situation here.
Well, like realistically, with the goal of getting supernatural creatures to curse this woman or this girl, nothing has been said to do that. Like all of this lead up could just not have been said. If the explanation of Locker 490 has some direct connection to Lolly, then okay, that needs to be that needs to be mentioned. But like all the other stuff doesn't really add to the plot yet, unless it does by the time we're done, because we are at number 6 out of how many?
14 chapters.
Yeah. So we're not even halfway through, so I can't really judge everything too harshly yet, but at least stuff is starting to add together.
True.
And I am curious to see how it goes. It's like that that GIF that you linked earlier that I've been accidentally staring at as I've been watching my voice indicator to see if there's static coming through. It makes no damn sense, but it compels me though.
Yeah, that's from Knives Out. The detective is just like, it makes no goddamn sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, so I guess so far, I mean, we're still. I mean, you guys, like Mikey, I'm sorry, you can't leave. The doors are locked. You're here for at least another 2-3 episodes with the story.
I'd say that you read most of it, so you're committed, but you haven't read most of it yet.
Yeah. The binding spells are still in effect. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're stuck with us for a bit here. But yeah, we'll have to see how this progresses and if who the real villain ends up in this series. Is it Ellery or is it Lolly? Or is it something else?
I don't know. I wonder if it might just turn around to be Ellery. Like eventually, Lolly's going to show up at the freaking campfire and be like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's not how that went at all.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get like a 2 or 3 chapters of her explaining the exact same thing, but from her perspective.
Yeah.
Which I honestly I wouldn't hate, but because like it would like be an interesting like just practice in like perspective.
Mm-hmm.
in perspective storytelling. So
that might be chapter 12, which is titled "In Which Kess Learned Several Interesting Things."
I do love. I gotta say also, I do love the chapter names.
Yes, they're great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that'll do it for this. That'll do it for tonight. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. Some of us are on Blue Sky. For example, Mikey is at the E stands for evil, and I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Or you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah! And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. We have special episodes, early access, and extra content. To all our patrons helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship, writing and posting these stories online, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Now's a good time to mention that we are a part of a podcast network, Crit in the Night. an actual play and creepypasta podcast network. We're there alongside our sister podcast, One Less Die, and our cousin podcast, The Role Playing Exchange, for things that go crit in the night. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this has been El Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.